Hello YouTube and welcome to another GV anime review where we have arrived at the final summer 2016 review. And that final anime that I have to review is 91 Days. At first glance, 91 Days was going to be an anime that would deliver us a good old mafia story. But did they succeed in creating the right atmosphere, unlike certain other animes this year? 91 Days takes place during Prohibition in a town called Lawless, where the local mafia families have total control. After many years, our main character named Angelo Lagusa returns to this town. His mission? Revenge. When he was young, his entire family was murdered by some mafia members. And now, many years later, he has received a letter with the identities of the murderers. And Angelo has only one goal: to eliminate the murderers of his family. As I said in the intro of this video, 91 Days was supposed to bring us a new mafia story, and I must say that it reached its goal. This is how you bring a good dark mafia story. 91 Days really filled the gap that Joker Game and Bungo Stray Dogs Season 1 left with me. It had everything that a good mafia story should have: revenge, anger, betrayal, friendships, lost friendships, death, and so much more. Certain scenes, like the marriage scene, looked like they came straight out of The Godfather. And as a good mafia story, this anime is savage at certain points, and that's what made it so good. Several scenes in 91 Days were so cruel and savage and really showed what mankind is capable of when it's pushed into a corner. And what added to that savageness was our main character Angelo, and especially the transition that he makes throughout the anime. At the start, you can really sympathize with him. I mean, he's the victim in this story. His entire family was murdered before his eyes, and him wanting to get revenge on the people that did it seems acceptable. But then, as the anime progresses, Angelo turns more and more evil, and you really start to think if Angelo is still the character that you should sympathize with. Since Angelo has nothing to lose, he is willing to go as far as he has to get his revenge, and that includes sacrificing people that almost have nothing to do with it. He's such a manipulator that he even convinces family members to kill each other. And that's what makes you think if this is still justified. He is doing the exact same thing that was done to him, only he drives it even further. But Angelo turning into this monster made the gloomy atmosphere of 91 Days even more apparent. And my final positive point was the opening song. Hands down, one of the best opening songs of the past year. It took me a few episodes to figure out where I knew that voice from. I knew that I heard it before, and then it got to me that it was TK, the same singer that did Unravel in Tokyo Ghoul. TK has such a unique voice. He has this hollowness in his voice that makes him stand out. And that was an extra to this anime, since you can interpret that as the suffering that Angelo has been going through for the larger part of his life. This was one of the best opening songs of the year, so definitely expect to see it in my 2016 GV Anime Awards. Now, of course, 91 Days also had its problems, starting with the animation. Shuka isn't the biggest of animation studios, and you could definitely see that in 91 Days' animation. The animation wasn't of the sharpest, and like with several animes this season, the quality declined the further the season progressed. And from time to time there was a slight animation error. One of the mistakes that really stood out to me was when Don Orco was eating in one of the scenes. You could see the meat going into his mouth, and then all of a sudden in one frame the meat reappeared all of a sudden. It was only one frame, but it really stood out as a sore thumb. Next small negative points are two things that I think were never explained in the anime. First off is the thing that Angelo whispers in Nero's sister's ear when she leaves by train. It must have had something to do with what happened just before that, but we never learn what he said, since the sister never returns to the anime after that episode. And the second thing that's never explained is the title. I like animes with a bit of a mysterious title, because usually there's a deeper meaning to the title. But here I still don't know why the anime is called 91 Days. A possibility is that the story takes place over 91 days, but it is never mentioned. And my final negative point, you should all know what it is if you know my channel and if you know what bothers me in anime. There are certain open endings that slightly bother me, like the one from real life. But this open ending of 91 Days bothered me a lot. You could feel it coming during the final episode, and there were multiple signs throughout the anime that pointed into the direction of this open ending. It's such a frustrating open ending since it's completely open to interpretation. There are no clues in the final scenes that point into a certain direction, and believe me, I have checked the final scenes for clues. But there aren't any, so everyone can have their own opinion about what happened. Personally, I think that it didn't happen. That is what I believe. So as a conclusion, despite the animation not being the highest quality and the ultra frustrating open ending, 91 Days was a good anime. Finally, there was an anime that could deliver a good and dark mafia based story. And that's why I'm going to rate 91 Days at 4 out of 5 stars. This was my number 3 of the past summer season. Mostly its atmosphere and sometimes savageness made it stand out from the rest. This is an anime that deserves more attention because it was kind of lost in the past season. Other animes that were a bit more disappointing than 91 Days but delivered the same kind of atmosphere were Joker Game and Bungo Stray Dogs Season 1. Both weren't as good as 91 Days, although Bungo Stray Dogs is picking itself up in its second season at the moment. Also, Baccano is an anime that has the same feel to it, I heard. But otherwise, if you liked 91 Days' story, then go and watch the Godfather movies. Honestly, I still have to finish them since they're quite long, but they are the holy grail when it comes to mafia stories. And with that I conclude my review of 91 Days. As usual, you can find the full list of all my animes and reviews over at Anime Planet. As usual, I will put a link in the description box down below. Now if you want me to review a particular anime from this list, please put it in the comments. Also, if you have a recommendation for me, put it in the comments as well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, visit me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and subscribe to this channel for more reviews in the future. I will say, arigatou gozaimasu, and I will see you all in the next video.